This month on Cooking for Wellness, we're making a plant-based crab cake that's become a real hit in our cafes. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Cooking for Wellness at NYU Langone Health. I'm Chef Jeffrey Held, and we are joined by a very special guest today, Medical Director of Inpatient Psychiatry, Dr. Bem Atim. Welcome, Dr. Atim.
All right, thank you for having me.
January is National Mental Wellness Awareness Month. So Dr. Atim is here to share his knowledge. So Dr. Atim, can you tell us a little bit about what you do here at NYU Langone?
Yeah, I'm an inpatient psychiatrist, meaning that I work with patients that have been psychiatrically hospitalized. I'm also the medical director of our inpatient psych unit here at Tisch, and I'm also the associate clerkship director for the medical students here.
Wow. So today we're gonna make a plant-based crab cake. Our chefs developed this recipe with hearts of palm, bell peppers, seaweed, and rice pancos. It's even gluten-free. We're gonna go ahead and start sauteing these vegetables. This is avocado oil. We have some bell peppers, some shallots, and some garlic. Cooking your vegetables ahead of time. Anytime you make like a meatball, meatloaf, crab cake, it adds that extra depth of flavor, getting like the aromatic out of the vegetable ahead of time. And also like when you eat it later, it's not crunchy and raw on the inside. Basically, if you didn't cook it before you add it, it's not gonna be cooked in the final. Nice and soft, low to medium heat. So there's a lot of research nowadays linking diet and exercise with mental health. How much of a role do you think, diet plays in mental health specifically?
I think it plays a huge role, and that's a really great question. It's an area that's pretty interesting in terms of research. We know that when we're stressed, we can reach for certain types of foods, and that a lot goes into what we call like the brain gut health as well. So it's definitely an area that's worth a lot of study and interest in the field.
It's fascinating. Okay, so we're gonna start on our actual crab cake. So let's move this down to this burner here. We have our hearts of palm. Hearts of palm are packed with nutrients, fiber, protein, and also really low in calories. So I just basically put this on the cutting board and I just rough chopped it. And it's almost like you can see it almost mimics the texture of like lump crab meat. So I'll add that to the bowl. We have some nutritional yeast. I got some Dijon mustard. So we got some mayonnaise, but it's a vegan mayonnaise. We have some sheets of nori seaweed, just rough chop. You can add that right in. That seaweed gives it that umami kind of, it adds it kind of like the ocean to the crab, to our fake crab cake. There you go. We got Old Bay seasoning. We got some chopped parsley, just a little bit of low sodium soy sauce, olive oil. Give that a little bit of a turn, start trying to incorporate that nicely. We have a little bit of some hot sauce. And this is actually a egg substitute. It's called Just Egg. And we have our rice panko. So you add just about half of it. We never add breadcrumbs to a recipe all at the same time. We kind of incorporate it slowly just to make sure we're at the consistency we want. Still looks kind of a little bit on the wet side. Add a little bit more. You see how it actually looks like a crab cake. Yeah. Actually, it's really interesting. Right. So our vegetables, you can see they're almost opaque, nice and soft. We're gonna make sure we spread out the vegetables and allow them to cool before adding them to the mix. Give it a little bit of fresh black pepper. I've read about, several studies highlighting correlations between diets high in refined sugars and impaired brain function, possibly even worsening symptoms of depression.
Yeah, there was a very large study several years ago where they looked at people who ate large amounts of sugary foods and found that those patients had a higher risk of depression. We also know that people who are depressed can actually eat more of those high content, high sugary foods.
So our vegetables are chilled down just about room temp. I'm gonna go ahead and add that. You can go ahead and mix that in.
Okay.
But I think it looks pretty good. You ready to get dirty?
Yeah.
So we're ready to go ahead and shape our cakes. So we use literally like an ice cream scoop so make sure they're all the same size. And then we give it one final kind of hand shape.
Okay.
And then we put it right into that rice panko. And that's it.
All right.
Just like that. Dr. Tim, people are always talking about like mindfulness in how we eat. I feel like in terms of mental health, it's even more important.
I think, the word mindfulness gets thrown around a lot,
Yeah.
but I do talk with my patients about mindful activities where they have to devote their attention to a specific task. And with cooking, like we're doing now, there's a lot you have to pay attention to: measuring, cutting, chopping, feeling the texture of the crab cake in your
It's
hand.
imperative that you stay focused, right?
Right, exactly. I think just as a little meta moment, like I'm being very mindful of what we're doing right now, as opposed to worrying about going back to work.
Yeah.
So, even doctors can benefit from having a little bit of mindfulness
There
time.
you go. Okay, so we're ready to cook our crab cakes. Medium, high, not to say high heat, but definitely like a heavy medium.
Okay.
Because too low, essentially your oil's not hot enough, so it will seep into the food. You want to get the oil nice and hot. I think it's super important to get that, crispy external crust on the cake. Careful not to crowd the pan too much. So I'll put about 5 in there. So these cakes are nice and small. Sometimes like if you're cooking a larger cake, you don't want to like sear it and then finish it in the oven, but it's not really necessary for these.
How do you know when it's almost done on the bottom?
You just kind of peek,
Uh-huh.
You can always use like a skewer or a thermometer just to, poke it and like feel the temperature of even a fork. Poke it with a fork and just feel the fork if it's hot. You want to give it a shot?
Oh yeah.
Don't be free. Move the pan around if it's not
Okay.
comfortable. No problem. Looks beautiful. So I want to actually give a shout out to Chef George and his team at Tish Cafe for developing this recipe. I think it's really exceptional. It's just one of the few recipes I've seen where a substitution plant-based recipe that actually worked out really well. All right, I think we're looking pretty good here.
Okay. It smells really good.
Yeah, it's about 3 to 5 minutes on each side, but it also requires you to be mindful and just keep close attention. Nice crispy exterior, not too dark. So we even made this vegan remoulade. I also got one of my favorites, this red watercress. It's beautiful, peppery, like crunchy, crispy, snappy. It's a great contrast with the cake. Ready to taste?
Yep.
Nice, beautiful. Well, let's see what we got here. Nice and crispy on the
Yeah.
outside. Hot.
It's really good.
It's delicious. So there you have it. Delicious plant-based crab cake. Dr. Atim, any final thoughts to leave with us while I eat?
Yeah, we're all very busy from day to day, and I think one of the best things we can do is making sure to take time to treat ourselves to good food every now and then. More often than every now and then, actually, I'd probably say. But yeah, you're doing something to take care of your mental health by eating well.
Love it. Please check out more episodes on our healthy lifestyle playlist.